Episode 23. Get unplugged and find your connection. Welcome back to One Extraordinary Marriage, where we talk about life, love, and the pursuit of intimacy. You're here with Elisa DiLorenzo.
And Tony DiLorenzo.
And it's Memorial Day weekend, so first and foremost, we want to say a special thank you to all of our veterans and active duty military. We very much appreciate your service.
We sure do.
And the sacrifices that you and your families make.
Yep. And living here in San Diego, we know many of you and have had you in our small groups. Mm-hmm. You are in our schools with our kids. We are around you daily. I've worked for many of you over the years. I am a blessed man to have known many of you, and thank you all for all that you have done. It
is a privilege and an honor, and we just wanted to start tonight's episode saying thank you for your service.
Yep.
We know that is a very big deal, and it is not something that we take lightly. So as we move into this week's episode, we want to talk some things about what's been going on this past week and what's coming up in a week.
Yep.
There's a lot going on. I know that Tony wanted first and foremost just to talk about some emails that he's received.
Yeah, just over the last couple of weeks, I've been getting a couple of emails from a few of you folks out there. And basically the gist of the email or comment is, I'm so jealous of yours and Elisa's marriage. And I just wanted to clarify quickly to let you know that what we do here every week on our podcast and what we do with oneextraordinarymarriage.com is by no means to make you guys jealous. We started one because we wanted you guys to know that there is a real life couple out there that goes through crap, that has gone through some bad stuff, is going through some good stuff, and it can happen in your marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I see those, I just wanted to reiterate that a lot of what we're doing is sharing so that you know that you can have an extraordinary marriage. You can have a great marriage. It's not to be jealous about Elisa and I. I hope that a lot of you take what we say and do and apply it to your marriages.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what it's all about. It's about sharing what we have gone through, and hopefully that it taps somewhere in your soul, in your heart, where you go, I've been there, or we're there, and we want to make a difference in our marriage. So just to let you guys know that I've just been receiving it, and I just wanted to let you know that I hope you guys are using what we're saying and what we're doing. We hope that you love our Marriage Minute Mondays. If you're not signed up with Marriage Minute Mondays, make sure you get to oneextraordinarymarriage.com, and on the right-hand side, subscribe. We have close to 200 subscribers there that receive our weekly 1-minute video of us just talking about fun little things you can do during the week. And it's things that Elise and I do.
And that's kind of where the idea for the Marriage Minute Monday had come from. You know, just little things that we try and do during the week that we can share with all of you. And it's been another milestone week. Right before we got on to record tonight, we looked at our Facebook fan page, the One Extraordinary Marriage fan page, and we've hit a milestone.
Yeah.
We have over 500 fans.
Unbelievable,
or likes,
you guys.
or we call you fans.
We do.
Regardless of how Facebook terms it these days. And so that has been
unbelievable.
That kind of blew us away. We started and it was all, friends and family. We're like, ooh, please be a fan. And now you guys are sharing this.
Mm-hmm.
And we look at our fan list, and I probably know a handful of people now. Because
90 of them are my friends.
Okay, well,
Just letting you know.
Thank you. I'm glad you've got so many friends, and that they all like you.
Yep.
But it's another way that we can see that you guys are tracking with our message.
Right.
And that what we're saying is hitting a chord. And so that's very exciting to us, to see not only the growth in Marriage Minute Mondays, but also the growth on the Facebook fan page. And You guys know, I mean, we say it every week that you can reach us anytime at Ask Elisa at One Extraordinary Marriage or
Ask Tony at oneextraordinarymarriage.com.
And you know what we're going to say next. We're going to say you can always call us on the listener feedback line, the 858-754-9937.
But you guys have been coming. You guys are batting really well this last couple of weeks. We got 2 more this week that we're about to play for you. One is from Mary in Australia. Thank you for our first international call, Mary. And one is from Ron out in Colorado. So we're going to play those and comment on those.
Hi, it's Mary from Australia here. I recently joined up to your 1 week of sex challenge, and so I thought I'd ring and say hello. You seem to get very excited about having an Australian on there, and I'm very aware that maybe my accent sounds a little bit broken, and I'm probably using words that you don't even know. So anyway, I'm just ringing to say hi, and Michael and I are very excited about the challenge next week, week after. I'm not sure what week I'm up to, but it'll be our 9-month wedding anniversary during that challenge, so it's really something to look forward to. So thanks for your podcast and your blog, and I look forward to hearing more. Bye-bye.
Mary, we are so excited. One, that you called in all the way from Australia, and don't worry about the accent. You should have seen Tony's
Loved it.
You should have seen Tony's face when he realized where you were calling from, just beside himself excited. And we're glad that you've signed up for the first annual 7 Days of Sex Challenge.
Yeah.
We're in countdown mode, folks.
Well, Mary is our first Australian and first international caller, and her and her husband are also one of 5 or 6 couples internationally. So thank you so much, Mary, for joining us for this coming up week. It's gonna be awesome. I'll tell you that. We have right now
49 couples.
49 couples.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, I looked just before we started.
49 couples are going to be joining us for the 7 Days of Sex Challenge. And it's not too late, you guys. If you've been reading our blog and checking out what's happening with this, it's not too late. You can sign up to June 5th at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
And if you don't know where that is in relation to where you are, just Google California time zone and it will tell you.
There you go. Yeah, we got to cut that off at 12 because we want to make sure we have everybody down. We got a lot of work to do on our end to make sure we have everything ready to go for the upcoming week. And we also have our first prize giveaway from our great friend Gina Parrish. We're going to be giving away Romance Rescue. And that will be given away on Saturday, so the day before we even start. So this is going to be awesome. It's going to be different for Elisa and I.
Well, yes, because this will be the first year that we actually have couples doing it with us.
Right. Well, and managing 50 plus couples now.
And really, I want to make sure that you guys, because not everybody has jumped on to the page. And so I just want to make sure that we kind of cover what we expect of you guys if you're participating in the challenge.
Right.
Besides having sex with your spouse every day.
Which is bonus.
That's the number one, whether you do anything else.
That's like the cherry on top.
Well, that's the whole Sunday.
Okay, yeah.
That's the whole Sunday.
It is. So,
do you want to explain just on a daily basis in order for the prizes and things like that?
Well, what we're going to be doing is daily we'll be giving prizes. Here's our goal and here's our plan, is that every day a new post will be posted at 12 a.m. On that days, you need to comment. Let us know that you have completed that day, and then the following day, we will then do a random drawing for the previous day's comments. So and if we get a little screwy and everything sort of crumbles, we just got a lot on our plate too. So Tony
reserves the right to invoke some flexibility into his.
I mean, just understand we got a lot going on too, and we want to come up with some good shows during the week and some good posts and hopefully some videos. So we got some stuff planned. So just
keep in mind we're doing the challenge too.
We're there with you
in addition to lifestyle and kids and everything that you all are juggling.
Mm-hmm. And for those of you who are joining us, one thing that Elisa and I are going to do this week is we're actually fasting from sex. So we're just going to stay we're not going to have sex this week, and just let the desire and the passion within us sort of build up, so that way when we go into the 7 days challenge, we're rearing to go. So we're excited. And then but to let you guys know, at the end of the week, Friday, we actually take off for our couples retreat. Marriage retreat for our church. And we're really excited about this. We're really excited to be there. All of the couples there, we're getting some really cool stuff, and Elisa and I will be sharing more about that next week, probably from our hotel room. We're planning on bringing some of our podcasting equipment and talking to you.
Okay, so, guys, how romantic is that we're, taking all of our equipment on the marriage retreat?
Heck yeah, it is romantic. It's what we do.
You have to understand, we kind of take our equipment. It's
everywhere.
It's getting to the point where we take it everywhere.
But we don't use it all the time. And like I said earlier, Marriage Minute Monday, make sure you sign up, because this week's Marriage Minute Monday was actually while we were camping.
Well, the one that's going to be posted
tonight.
Today's Monday.
I know it's Marriage Minute Monday. It gets posted on Monday, so I'm going to do it after we podcast.
Oh, I thought you had already put one up.
No.
Oh.
I was lazy last week. You were trying to get ready for camping and everything.
Yeah, you told me that you were going to.
I was going to, and then things happened, and I didn't do it.
Got it.
So after we podcast, I'm going to put one up.
So for those of you that are used to getting it early on Mondays, keep in mind today it was a holiday.
Yeah, we got to take a break too. So what are you going to do?
Oh, that's awesome.
What else? I was going to say something else about it.
About the challenge?
Oh, you know what? Strip Down. 13 Keys to Unlocking Intimacy in Your Marriage. It is out in PDF format.
Ebook.
We got it. It's up on the site. Go to the store tab, hit store, hit the PDF or ebook version. It's $12. It's a steal. If you don't want the ebook just yet, I've gotten everything taken care of with our printer. We have a proof copy coming our way by Wednesday, hopefully, of this week. I should be ordering, and we're going to order enough, hopefully, to get all of you guys, because we've had a lot of you say you want this. It's awesome. We just had some problems with the previous printer. We've run through 7 weeks of a small group study at our church on Strip Down.
I know. Tomorrow's our last week with this group.
And we just gave them basically the Word document copy and a 3-ring binder, and that's what they've been going off of, and it wasn't even the completed manuscript edited. And we have had so much fun in this. So when you guys get it and you start looking over it, and if you want to have one at your church, a small group, we would love to talk to you, and we would love to help you guys have one, because the conversations we have had in our church and with this select group of folks has been absolutely amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And all you have to be is somebody or a couple that is interested in intimacy and marriage and want to share. You're sharing, you can share what Elise and I have done, and just want to facilitate the book and just share from your heart how intimacy has made, how you have been affected by One Extraordinary Marriage, Elise and I, and how intimacy is so vital in your marriage. You don't have to be perfect. None of us are perfect. We go in there and we just have a good time, and we laugh and we share, and so that's been
great.
out.
Yeah, I mean,
we're excited. It's almost here. We've been telling you that for however many months.
Gosh, probably a month and a half now. You guys,
Longer.
Some of you are probably thinking, yeah, right. They're really getting a book out. It's amazing how much longer the back end process of getting a book printed takes than actually writing the book. I think we're going to spend almost as much time on the back end, but
all right,
it's almost here.
All right, let's get to Ron.
I guess I'm getting cut off.
Yep.
We're going to hear from Ron now.
Hey, Tony and Elisa. This is Ron in Fort Collins, Colorado, and wanted to just call you and compliment you on the last couple of podcasts you guys have done, and just say good job, and I've really enjoyed them. The last one you did on your marriage being a safe place to share your emotions was really good. And lately I've been trying to make an effort of just being more real and honest with my wife about where I'm at and my feelings and my thinking and my emotions. And, it gives her a way to pray for me. It just helps us to be intimate. And also, I've seen lately some marriages around me that have kind of crumbled because I think what happened is, in many of these cases, is the guy in the marriage was going through some things, and in another case they were going through a lot of changes, and it just seemed like they became isolated. And I never want that to happen with Barbara and I. And so, lately I've just been making an effort to just let her know this is where I'm at, and I just need you to know, and to listen to me and pray for me, and it's just helped us to stay more connected. So anyway, just wanted to pass that along, and once again, thank you guys for the podcast you're doing. They're great. So look forward to the next one. Bye.
Ron, thank you, one, for the encouraging words about what you've been getting out of the last couple of podcasts, and two, I want to thank you for opening up to your wife like that. That
Amen
is
to that,
not,
dude.
On either side of the fence, whether you're the wife or the husband, it's not easy to open up and let your spouse know.
We have trouble with it.
That you have vulnerabilities, that you absolutely, that you have issues that you're dealing with, that you really need prayer, that you need comfort.
Mm-hmm. And
so I commend you on making that effort so that you don't end up in situations like what you're seeing around you, where, the marriage is not a safe place for emotions and trouble ensues.
Right.
And so that's
as you've seen.
Right.
I mean, you made mention of two of them, and I think that's a big thing. When we become isolated, we feel like we're the only ones out there, and the devil has a hold on us.
Mm-hmm.
And I know many of you are in the same boat as I am. When we get to that point, the thoughts that start going through our heads, they can lead down a really slippery slope, and that's where the devil wants us.
Absolutely.
So opening up and sharing, as scary and as fearful as it may seem at times, it's way better than the alternative.
Mm-hmm.
So I think a lot of us really need to remember and really think this through. What is the alternative? Could this get to the point where we are separating from each other, where we're destroying our home because of our inability to speak up and share our emotions?
It's true.
It's time to stand up, folks. It's time to be able to share with your spouse what's happening. And I know it's tough. I know it's scary. I've been there. Elisa has been there. We go through this, but it's worth it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to share something real quick here. Take over, Elisa, and I'm going to find this thing here.
Okay. I'm taking over. What are you looking for?
I'm looking for a comment that we got just recently about a wife who had come across one extraordinary marriage. And hold on, I'm going to find it here. Hold on.
Okay. Well, while he digs, I want to go back to, what Ron was saying. And, I want to give his wife credit.
Okay, I found it.
Okay, well, I'm still going to give his wife credit.
Okay, sorry.
Since you found it. You took a little while, so now it's my turn. Especially when you put me on the spot like that.
All right, sorry.
No, I want to say, kudos to his wife for being that safe place for him. It's not just, a step for him to take to say, I'm going to make myself vulnerable to her. I'm going to share these emotions with her. She's got to reciprocate on that action and be okay listening to him.
Yes.
Be able to be what he needs.
Mm-hmm.
And to create the environment. And so for his wife to do that, that's huge.
Definitely.
And so, we've had some conversations, email conversations and whatnot with them over the last few months. And just to hear these really great things that are happening in their marriage is really exciting. And, these guys are on the right track. They are putting effort into their marriage.
Right.
They're getting it together and firing on all cylinders. And so it's really, hearing this phone call is just warms the heart.
Awesome. Yeah.
Really warms the heart.
It really does. And and just a month ago, I remember getting an email from Ron just asking for prayer. Mm-hmm. And I remember just getting that on my BlackBerry one day, and I just stopped and I seriously, I just prayed for those two. And to get this a month later is just awesome. Mm-hmm. So, okay, I didn't mean to cut cut in there. But I do give Barb a lot of credit. No, I give Barb a lot of credit as well. I mean, as a spouse who's receiving this information, we have a couple options. One, we can run away, or two, we sit there and we listen and we serve our spouse. And we talked about that in episode something. I don't remember. We talk about serving our spouses. But that is part of serving our spouses, is they're listening to them.
Right.
So, okay.
So did you find what you're looking for?
Yep. Aaron and Crystal. Married 13 years last March. They're in for the 7 Days of Sex Challenge and are from Louisiana. Crystal, this is Crystal writing now. Crystal, downloaded your first podcast last week and have been blown away by the similarities between your marriage and our marriage. It sounded like you were reading our mail. Within the past month, Jesus has been dealing with my heart about my attitude towards intimacy. I haven't always been this way. Pre-kids, we were awesome. I began praying for God to change my heart and also to lead me to quality, pure help. I stumbled upon your podcast and then the blog, and I now, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that you were heaven sent for such a time as this. Aaron works offshore on 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off rotation. He returned home yesterday, and I poured my heart out to him concerning all that God has been dealing with me about. He was dumbstruck. We talked for over 4 hours.
Holy cow.
I then shared with him your website and the 7-day challenge. Although we will be living on a church campground in a travel trailer, helping to monitor our children's youth camp on the week of the 7-day challenge, he has heartily agreed that we are in it. We are in. It will be an exciting week filled with many challenges, but ones that we are anxious to overcome. May God bless you as you continue in this work for him.
Wow. Congratulations on
dig it.
Holy cow, embarking on this challenge while you're at a campground.
Here's the thing though that I wanted to stick that triggered me when Ron said all this was building up.
Right.
All this was building up. Crystal had to take a step of faith. She had to take that step of faith because something was bugging her, and she did take that step of faith, and it lasted for 4 hours. You know, and it sounds like Aaron was a little like, oh my gosh, what's happening here? I think as a guy and as a husband, you are. But it also sounds like they work through a buttload of stuff, because if they got to all of that after 4 hours and want to do our 7-day challenge while they're at a church camp, I mean, that's the power of God.
Amen.
That is it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. If we so believe that God is our Savior and He can do all things, then it's time to get off our butts and not be scared to share.
There you go. As I leaned back. I was a little bit back from the mic. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
I was just saying.
You got to understand, folks. It's 9:45 on Monday evening. We've been gone all weekend. So we're rolling.
It's
hopefully
dark.
You guys are
I should be sleeping.
Hopefully you guys are rolling with us. All right. What are we going to get into next?
Well, I think we should go back actually to the topic tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Get unplugged and get connected.
I know, but we're plugged in again.
We are plugged in again. But for the last 2.5 days, we were not.
This is true.
We actually...
2 days.
Saturday, Sunday, right. Monday, 2.5.
All right, 2 days.
You going to get technical?
No.
Okay, thank you. We actually, this Memorial Day weekend, decided that we were going to take the kids camping. And so we headed out on Saturday afternoon to a campground that we'd been to once before.
And this isn't something we usually do on Memorial Day. Elisa
we're
and
usually home.
Elisa and I are way okay with just being lazy on Memorial Day weekend and doing nothing. We could sit around and honestly sleep hours away.
We could, except that we have 2 children, so we don't ever sleep hours away.
But we'll chill out on the couch and just let them play and just do nothing. But this Memorial Day, we decided, Alex, our eldest, decided about a month ago that he wanted to go camping, and so we.
And so Tony's like, great idea, and all I could think about it immediately was, gosh, hope we can find a campsite. Nice that you gave me notice. You want to go away on Memorial Day weekend. Anyway, we found a campsite. It was actually a great campsite where it was located in the Agua Caliente
County Park.
And so it was about an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes from home, which the drive there was interesting because Alex and I both kind of get
car sick.
We don't quite get car sick, but we get nauseous.
Yeah.
And
it was a windy road up to Julian, and then a windy road down all the way to the desert.
And because Tony had given me 2 options. Do you want to get there fast, or what were my options? Fast or
the quick or the slow way? The
quick or the slow way. And apparently it was my fault because I had neglected to think through the fact that because I never, well, I won't say never, I hardly ever drive out to East San Diego County. And so I don't think about the fact that the fast way is going to be windy way.
But I told you we'd have to go through Julian.
Okay, but I could have handled the drive through Julian. It was the trip down on the other side that kind of pushed me over where I was like...
No, you were already bad. Get out of here. You're already bad going up to Julian. Are you kidding me?
Are you kidding me?
Yes.
Anyway, so Alex and I were a little nauseous, but we get there and...
And this drives me nuts, folks. This drives me nuts because I don't get car sick.
So he can't even empathize. He's just irritated.
No. I'm not irritated. I am giving you options. Like I'm going, honey, roll down your window. Honey, have something to drink. And you just...
I don't want to do anything because I feel lousy.
I know. And I don't want you to feel lousy because I want you to feel good so that when we get there, we're all having a good time. And it just inevitably, this always happens. And then Alex starts getting sick too. And I'm just going, oh my God. And then Abby... out of nowhere, she's talking about bathrooms, and then all of a sudden it's like, I gotta go to the bathroom now. And it's like, oh my gosh.
Keep in mind, she's little.
We're on this windy road, and I was like, oh, you know what? There's a store at the bottom. We can get there. We get to the store. There's no restrooms. It burned down in the 2007 fires.
And apparently the guy that works there does not go to the bathroom all day.
I guess. Who knows where these people go to the bathroom. So... at this point, we have to drive a little bit farther. We find a little turnout, and then Miss Abby got to drop.
Had her first experience going pee outside.
Which was awesome. She was giddy with joy.
Yeah.
So that was good.
That was good.
Okay.
We get to camp. We find out that our location at the camp is...
really cool.
It was great. I mean, we were like right between the pool and the bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
And I love this campground because the bathrooms are clean. They do a phenomenal job on... just the facilities, the pools. Yeah. They're, 2 different pools for the kids to be in. One's like a wading pool, about 2.5 feet deep, and the other is, I think goes up to 4 or 5 feet. And it's just, you're out there.
Mm-hmm.
You're out there so far that the sign when you're checking in says, no cell phone service. Your closest cell phone service is 4 miles away.
And it was mine and Elisa's intention before we left, though, was we're going to unplug. We're going to just... get away from it all. We've been inundated with a lot of emails and things going on with the 7 Days of Sex Challenge.
And our businesses.
And we just said, you know what? It's time for us to just check out.
Mm-hmm.
And
so no cell phones.
I left my BlackBerry here at home.
Oh.
I left it at home because I didn't even want it to start beeping at me when we got into coverage.
Right. So I brought mine, but I had no coverage.
You had no coverage, but yours is just a cell phone. It's not a smartphone.
Yes, that's because...
And we knew that if something happened in emergency, we had to drive down the road 4 miles and we could make a phone call.
Because I could still get voicemail notifications. So
and you could call out from that area too.
Yes.
There's like a little area. So we just went unplugged. And from my stance and my point of view... It was a little weird. I mean, it was at times, especially on Saturday, it was just sort of like, oh my gosh, am I getting emails or what's happening? Or, I didn't have my phone with me just to like check the weather or do something stupid, which I need to break that habit. I learned from this weekend of, sometimes when I just have nothing to do, or somebody's talking to me and I really don't want to pay attention to them, I'll just whip out my phone and like check the weather.
Would you repeat that last line?
What?
Not the check the weather, the part before that. When someone's talking to me and I don't feel like listening?
Yes.
Well, that's an eye-opening statement. Now I know when I walk up to you and you've got that thing open.
No. I'm already have it open and then you walk up to me. I rarely, if ever, open it up while we're talking.
But do you close it? Oh.
No, because I was looking at it, and then unless you engage me in conversation, then I close it.
All the time?
Not all the. I said I'm not good all the time, and I got to work on that.
Just checking.
Because it was Saturday where I was like, oh my gosh, what's this, what's that? But Saturday night, once we got the kids to bed, I mean, we ran our kids hard. We got there about 3:00 in the afternoon because we couldn't check in till 2.
Straight to the pool. I was setting up stuff. Elisa was with the kids. I mean, we ran them hard. We brought the football. I was playing football with Alex. And we're pretty much, I mean, we're easy campers. I mean, dinner is hot dogs and hamburgers over an open flame. We got a tent. We're not plush over here. We're just like, let's get away. We don't need the amenities of home. If I wanted home, I'd be at home. I don't need to go take it out to a campsite. All the pop-up tents and the RVs. The pop-up tents and the RVs.
Yeah, they did dig.
Our neighbors had, had like the gourmet cooking going on next door.
They did. I mean, it was awesome.
That dad was all about cooking.
He was. So, here's the thing that I really, come Saturday night, the kids are finally in bed. We have the fire going. And it was that moment where there's nothing going on. I mean, it was just quiet. And you could see the stars. Mm-hmm. And, the fire is just crackling away. And it was just an amazing moment for Elisa and I to just share and talk. And for me, by this point, I wasn't worried about my BlackBerry dinging or a phone call coming in or checking Facebook or my computer making a noise to let me know something was happening. At that point, it was like, wow, this is so good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, over the course of the weekend, it was, I just had such a connection with the kids this weekend. I think that's where I really saw it. One, because they wanted to spend so much time in the pool. And I think in one of our earlier episodes, in fact, I know we did, there was one where we talked about the fact that we'd gone to the beach that day, and Tony had gotten a little irritated with me because I didn't want to go near the water because it was so cold. Mm-hmm. And so the great thing about this weekend was that, it's, 95, 100 degrees out there. I think I heard somebody say the pool water was like 85. The children's wading pool was probably closer to 90. That was like bath water.
Yeah.
And so I was completely comfortable being in the water with the kids because I wasn't freezing cold. And so for me to be able to do that and to just play with them and splash with them and, have that mom's not doing anything else time. Mm-hmm. It's just 1-on-1 or 2-on-1, if they were both around playing. That was really, that was really good. Mm-hmm. And then you and I getting those opportunities both Saturday and Sunday night when, everybody's in bed. And, Saturday night we had a great conversation about, dreams and where we're going and what's going on deeper, more so than, we've gotten pretty good at it, but this was even better because we weren't at home. So even at night when we turn off everything, there's still the, oh gosh, we really should do the dishes now, or, do we need to fold clothes, or
there's no distractions.
Because even if all the electronics are off, if you're at home, there's still stuff you can be doing and it's in the back of your head. And so you're not,
right.
You have to work a lot harder to be 100% engaged.
Right.
I think, at least I do, because, you and I can be having a conversation and I'm over here, this reference won't mean a lot to a lot of people, but, thinking about England, it's the line from, or the section from Intimacy Ignited, the first book that we did on intimacy, studied on intimacy, where, sometimes we women are thinking about, England or whatever that thing is that's distracting you.
From true intimacy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm not giving you 100%, then I'm not really being truly 100% intimate with you.
And I think the electronics do that, though.
They suck that away.
They definitely do. I mean, you brought it up big time with the kids. For me, it was one of those opportunities and chances when, we're just hanging out at the camp, especially midday when it was just blazing hot.
Hot.
We were just looking for shade to stay cool because we didn't feel like Excuse me. Sorry, guys.
Wow, I don't think he's ever done that on air.
Sorry. When we didn't want to, we just had already had our time at the pool. I think Abby had crashed out in the van. And I mean, it was just Alex and I go, hey, get the game Slamwich. Let's just play it. And there was no distraction. And I mean, he and I just played and we had a good time. You were reading. And so it was good. It was good to be able to do that. And I hope that we're able to remind ourselves, what it was like. So that way we're not bringing it back home all the time, because these electronics tend to cause, it takes away from what we need to be doing. Mm-hmm. For our marriage, but even with our kids.
Right. And I mean, that was, I kept having these little moments, not that I brought it up to you every single time it happened, but whether, you and I were having a conversation or I was doing something with the kids. I think Abby and I held hands when we walked everywhere this weekend.
Yeah.
Everywhere. And, that was just her way of staying close. Mm-hmm. Not that she felt threatened, not that she was scared. It was just, I'm hanging out with my mom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, that was really cool.
And it wasn't until we started to pack up this morning and you and I started getting distracted doing all of the pack up, wrap up camp stuff that she really started to throw some attitude.
Right.
But for the majority of the weekend, except when she got overtired, which, like Tony said, we did run the kids kind of ragged. We didn't really have any behavioral issues with the kids. And it's those kinds of aha moments that say, you know what, when we're home and when I'm distracted doing my stuff and you're distracted doing your stuff and they're not getting attention from us.
Right.
I think that's when we see a lot of our flare-ups, temper tantrums, whatever you want to call them. And that is one of those things that...
Even from us, though.
Right.
What's one of the biggest things that you and I get irked about?
You're on the computer. You're on your phone.
Yep.
In fact, I even called you on it when we walked in the door.
Well, that's a whole nother story. Just coming home to messages and stuff. It was just... after being away...
I'm speechless here. That's why I'm not saying anything.
No, after being away,
mm-hmm.
it was just sort of like, wow. And coming home, I started thinking about it at the bottom of 67. I'm like, oh man, I got to go look at all the messages and what do we have and this and that. And, I walked into, what was it? We were gone 2.5 days, 2 days. I walked home to 40 emails.
Okay. Were any of them life or death at the moment we walked in the door?
No.
Okay, just checking.
No, you're right on. It's all perception. It's all how I perceive it and what I think needs to get done. Yeah, you're right on.
You handled it well because we pulled in the kids ran to get plugged in because they'd been watching a movie and I knew
and they needed some downtime after being. Right. Even this morning. They were rearing to go. They wanted the pool. We took them to the pool. We took the long way home so nobody would get sick. And
then it was even longer because there was an accident on the 8, and so traffic came to a stop.
So, the kids were tired. So we did allow them to just chill out in front of the TV, which allowed me time to take a nap.
Mm-hmm.
But getting back to when I got home.
We walked in the door and. So the kids go run off to watch TV and I'm starting to unload the car and I bring something into the kitchen and there's Tony and his BlackBerry and I see his little thumb, with the roller ball.
My little thumb.
Your thumb. The thumb and the roller ball.
I got a normal sized thumb. Thank you.
Yeah, you got, but you've got your BlackBerry thumb.
Yep.
And I looked over and I'm like, really? You couldn't stay unplugged a little bit longer? And this isn't to say that I didn't come home and get on Facebook, but I waited until we'd unloaded everything. I didn't even turn my computer on until you were getting close to nap time.
I was going to say, I thought you turned it on after I fell asleep.
Oh, maybe I did.
Yeah.
But it was one of those things where I was like, wow. Like we walked in the door and he's like straight for the BlackBerry. And
yeah, I'm not saying I'm good.
I think that's kind of why some people call it like the crackberry or whatever, because it was just like, oh, He's like, well, I got 40 messages. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
They're not important.
You know, I had one message on my phone for the 3 days that we were gone.
Right.
And
that wasn't
it wasn't life or death.
Right.
I mean, I did some other
But here's the thing. Why do we treat these electronics are fighting for our time? They're fighting for the time that we have together. Why is it that they constantly become top priority over our spouses or over our kids when they shouldn't be? Why do we constantly use them and disconnect from everything else?
That's a great question.
You know, and that's my thing is like, I love it. Don't get me wrong, folks. I mean, we podcast and we do videos and we have.
You're plugged into us electronically, so
and,
we.
You know, we're on Facebook and we're on Twitter too. It's one of those things that I love our community, but at the same time, how do we set up boundaries so that we know when to say enough's enough? I think that's something that you and I need to start working out on and going, okay, who's more important?
Mm-hmm.
You know, is getting a blog post that important, or can we shut it down at 10 o'clock so that way you and I can sit down and talk for our 15, 20, 30 minutes?
Right. Right. And I think that's something that as we've gone through this process, not just this weekend, but it's in our marriage, it's been building. I think, you know, our and I'm going to call it what it is. It's an addiction to electronics.
Yeah. Oh, it is.
Whether it's your phone, your computer, the internet, video games, whatever it is. You know, and it was really funny. I was just reading an article in the acupuncturist's office last week, and there's a new the diagnostic manual for psychiatry and psychologists. It's the DSM. Okay. The 5th edition or version is coming out, and they were talking about all of these new disorders that are going to be in there, and you know they're talking about this whole computer, computer addiction or internet addiction or something along those lines was being mentioned in there because there are so many people that spend excessive amounts of time on their computers. And I'm not talking about work. So many of you listening to us, you work on a computer. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about...
Are you talking like the social networking type stuff?
It's the social networking. It's, playing games on the computer. It's doing, just being... You and I were talking about this weekend. How often are we on here just looking up stuff? Right. You were talking about, sometimes you're just looking up the weather on your phone. We live in San Diego. Step outside. Our weather does not change so much.
Right. No, you're right.
It's probably going to be sunny.
I agree with you. Yeah.
We're in June now. We'll probably have June gloom in the morning. So you'll probably see, low clouds, little gray in the morning. And then it'll burn off mid-morning, midday. Mm-hmm. And then it'll be 75, 80.
Yeah, and we'll be good.
And that's, the weather in June in San Diego. You're done. You won't need to check the weather for the next month.
Right. You're right.
But we've become so programmed, and I'm going to use that word, to think that everything that happens electronically is like the end-all, be-all, and it's supposed to take priority. Mm-hmm. We get a call. Somebody needs to talk to us right now. Well, guess what? They know how to leave a message. Mm-hmm. I know that because Tony is teaching me that, because I'm like, oh, somebody's calling. Got to take the phone call. And he's like, no, it's like we don't answer the phone at dinner time.
Right.
That's a boundary that we have put in our family. It doesn't matter if it's the cell phone or the house phone, unless we get phone calls on both phones immediately, in which case we think that's typically an emergency situation.
Right.
But for the most part, you call us on our house phone, we are not answering.
Right.
Call us on our cell phone, we're not answering. We'll talk to you after that half an hour with our family is over.
Well, I think that's what we need to do overall, because that has become a tried and true. This is when we don't answer the phone. It's dinner time. I mean, the kids know it. The phone rings. They look at it, and we just go, it's dinner time. And we just let the answer machine get it. I think that's what we need to start. We need to sit down this week and talk that over. We need to discuss that, and we need to determine what is appropriate electronic time.
Mm-hmm. And I think, this weekend hit it home for us because, we're on the verge of summer break starting.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm going to be home with the kids for 9 weeks. And, that is something that we need to have in place prior to them getting out of school.
Mm-hmm.
I need to have that in place for myself so that I don't, relegate them to watching cartoons.
Right.
And I need to also have a balance for myself because I do my business over the computer. So I do need to have time, but it's not all of the wasted time.
A lot of it
I'm talking about the wasted
time that we just
I can
on there.
probably condense what I need to do if I had like 1 solid hour.
Right.
And, as opposed to probably 3 hours of, screwing around on the computer during the day.
Right.
And so it's, we've limited our children and how much electronic time they get. And it probably is time for us to sit down and say, you know what? We need to do the same thing for ourselves.
Right. No, I agree. And we just need to make that, a priority in our marriage.
And I'm guessing we're not alone.
Oh, I doubt it.
Considering, and, I love you guys, but considering how many of my friends I see posting on Facebook at all hours of the day and night, I know I'm not alone in my Facebook enjoyment.
Right.
But I challenge you this week to really be thinking about
your usage
of cell phones, Facebook, internet. How much of that time is necessary, and how much of that time, like Tony said earlier, is I don't necessarily want to talk to the person that's trying to have a conversation with me, so I'm going to do something else. That's a really powerful statement in a negative way, what he had said earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those things that makes me say, okay, well, how am I, maybe with my kids, how often am I not wanting to engage in them? And so I'm spending time on the computer.
Right.
How many nights do Tony and I spend on the computer doing other stuff when we could be, watching a movie together or playing a board game? What am I choosing?
Right.
What am I choosing? What am I getting from my electronics? And this is a question to ask yourself this week. What am I getting from the electronics that I'm not getting from the people in my life? Or I'm not allowing them to give me because I think my electronics are more important?
Right. Mm-hmm.
What message am I sending to my family because I think my electronics are more important?
Yeah, it's not a good one.
It's a really lousy message.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it myself right now.
Sit down with your spouse this week and ask the question, do I spend too much time on my phone, on my computer, on the internet? And be open to what you hear as the response, because chances are you're probably not going to like what they have to say. But I can guarantee you they'll be more honest with you than you will be with yourself.
Yeah.
Because I know if I ask Tony that question, he's going to rattle off a ridiculous number. And
vice versa.
And I know it's true.
I mean, I think you would say the same about me.
Yeah. And it's not a pretty picture.
Mm-mm.
And that's why we're talking about it this week, because we spent 48 hours unplugged, and it's got us thinking about what changes we need to make in our marriage and in our family. And, seeing my kids this weekend, having fun with me, and I'm typically not the fun parent.
Yeah, you are.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Let's be honest. I'm not the fun parent.
No, you are.
No, I'm not. I know I'm not the fun parent. But I had fun with my kids this weekend. And that was important to me. I had great conversation with you.
Right.
And that was important to me. And it's a choice that each one of us has to make on whether we're going to allow ourselves to be so plugged in that we lose the connections, or if we're going to get unplugged and rediscover those connections.
Yeah.
And so you've got some challenges in this podcast this week to say, you know what? what am I choosing?
Sure.
And, we would love to hear your thoughts on this. We'd love to hear what choices you're making or what electronic struggles you're having. Give us a call. It's, you can call us from anywhere. You know that now. Australia, we'd love to hear from you again. Canada, all over. Call us. 858-754-9937. If you want to email us directly, you can always email me at askalisa@oneextraordinarymarriage.com.
Or me at asktony@oneextraordinarymarriage.com.
Make these changes before it's too late.
Yep. I'm
looking at my kids. They're 7 and 4. I've got time to change my relationship with them so that they don't always think Mom, hangs out on Facebook.
Right.
You've got time if you choose to make a change. So get unplugged.
And join us for the 7 days sex challenge. Love you guys.